In this episode, we're going to examine how a man was stopped, cited, charged, prosecuted, and punished for simply walking, not because he broke the law, but because of ignorance and malfeasance. In Greenbrier, Arkansas, on April 3rd, 2024, David Hayes was walking northbound on the shoulder of the southbound lane of Highway 65. Someone called 911 to report that David was walking on the side of the road. Officer Jason Lingo arrives and at first pulls up alongside David and then formally detains him by instructing him to move over to the adjacent parking lot.
You can't be walking in the middle of the road right here. There's a sidewalk on the other side.
I'm walking in the easement. I mean, you know,
the easement,
this is the easement right here.
No. The easement is 15 feet off of
I'm
the...
just trying to get to where I'm going, sir.
You need a ride?
No, I don't need a ride.
Well, you can't walk in the highway.
So I can walk in right here.
You can walk on the grass as much as you want.
All right.
All right, you got ID on you?
I don't.
You got name and date of birth?
Do you have a reason to ID me?
Yeah.
What's the reason?
So you're... Move up here for me, if you don't mind.
Crime?
Move up here for me if you don't mind.
YV, 98.
You got your body cam on?
It's red.
Okay.
So, you can't walk in the middle of the road like you were doing.
Middle of the road, Officer Lingo? Words matter, you Neanderthal. You know, if I had a like on this video for every time I heard a cop like this articulate such a sloppy, inaccurate incident narrative, I'd be more popular than Taylor Swift. This is actually the middle of the fucking road. And this is the shoulder, where David was walking and where it is completely lawful to walk or ride a bicycle. It is the continuation of this inept oral diarrhea that later on facilitates the chief signing off on Officer Lingo's stupidity. But the chief is just as dull because he clearly doesn't know how to properly vet a situation that one of his officers is reaching out to him about.
The easement is not on the roadway. The easement is off of the roadway.
Okay, so as far as I know, a pedestrian is considered the same as a cyclist. Okay? As far as I know, state of Arkansas, a cyclist can ride down the road. You're not going to tell a cyclist to go down the grass.
Officer Lingo is not taking in what David is saying, and he's not using critical thinking. He only cares about getting out his next thought. A thought, by the way, that actually proves he has zero competency in applying any law to this situation.
Can you walk on the highway, on I-40?
I don't know.
No, you cannot.
I'm not going to tell you that I do know.
This is I-40. Unlike Highway 65, it is a controlled access highway, which is defined under Arkansas State Law 27-51-1206 as a highway or street that is designated for an unhindered flow of traffic without intersections, traffic signals, or property access, and regulates the ingress and egress of motor vehicles. So, of course, you cannot walk or ride a bike on the shoulder of I-40. So, yeah, are you seeing where this is going? Officer Lingo is doing all of this only because he is too ignorant to realize the difference between a controlled access and a non-controlled access highway. And you're going to be so pissed when you hear how David is prosecuted and punished because of this state-endorsed imbecile. Oh, and did you happen to notice the symbol of American freedom waving behind the man whose freedom is actually being taken away? That is the worst kind of irony.
But I don't see cyclists on I-40 either. But I do see cyclists down this.
So, I'm just letting you know.
I'm not trying to have an argument with you.
I'm not trying to have an argument with you either. But we got a 911 call.
Okay.
And I'm making contact with you, and we have to do reports on everything that we do.
Yes, sir.
That's Chief Earnhardt's policy. If you have an issue with it, you can contact him Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
A 911 call does not suspend the Constitution. It alone does not create suspicion. It doesn't give an officer the power to detain anyone in this circumstance. And the chief cannot have any policies that override the law or civil rights. If he did, he could be fired and prosecuted. So Officer Lingo is either lying or guilty of executing his duties while ignorant. David was just walking on the side of the highway that is not controlled access, facing traffic exactly as the Arkansas State Highway Pedestrian Safety Guidelines recommend. It also states one should use a sidewalk if one is present, not that you must cross the street every time one appears. This is only guidelines, not state law. David had no obligation to cross 5 lanes of traffic, especially mid-block, just to reach a sidewalk that started on the other side. He has the right to safely cross at the next designated crosswalk. But Officer Lingo has built an entire fiction that David is now a suspect, and that he's obligated to give ID, and that refusing to comply becomes a new offense. Officer Lingo didn't make contact because a crime occurred. He made contact because someone called. He detained David not because of law, but because of his own ignorance. And when David stood on his rights and executed more critical thinking in 60 seconds than Officer Lingo did all day, Lingo escalated. That's the lack of education. That's the vocational victim culture. That's the fucking problem.
Okay.
He just left.
Is Jay Lingo?
Yes, sir. I got a business card here if you want one.
Okay, yes, sir.
Would you like a copy of the report?
Yeah, I could do that with the report.
Hey, Tim Petty, can I get a report number, please?
Where are you guys located at?
Wilson Farm Road, right up next to First Security Bank.
Okay. And are you threatening me with an arrest for the ID?
Ten nine.
Your report number is going to be 460.
Okay, so here's the deal. I have a legal reason to make contact with you.
Okay.
So therefore, I have legal reason to demand identification.
You suspect me of committing a crime?
You were walking down the highway.
Yeah. Okay. And
Yeah.
Is that an arrestable offense?
It's interfering with the traffic way.
Interfering with a traffic way? There's no Arkansas state law worded like that. There are only 2 Arkansas state laws that reference any sort of interference with vehicular traffic. 5-71-214. A person commits the offense of obstructing a highway if he or she renders any highway or other public passage impassable. Well, David is not even a husky dude. As a matter of fact, I would say he's slim-built. And there's 27-51-208, and that only applies to operators of motor vehicles. You know, I've actually run out of ways to describe Officer Lingo's lack of intelligence while still abiding by YouTube's terms of service. If there are any cop watchers out there in Greenbrier, Arkansas, please go follow this excuse for a peace officer around.
I can cite you for it if you want to.
I was on the shoulder the entire way. I don't see how.
No, you wasn't. There is no shoulder here.
Does Officer Lingo really need to be told that people commonly refer to the side or edge of any road as the shoulder? He also appears to be conflating the absence of a shoulder as a contributing factor to the legality of being able to walk on the side of the road. We can fix that in 30 seconds. This is a soft shoulder. This is a hard shoulder. And these are examples of no shoulders. And it is legal to walk or ride your bike on the edge of just about every single non-access controlled highway in the country, whether it has a shoulder or not, regardless of the number of lanes, traffic patterns, etc. And every state has guidelines in their driver's license handbooks discussing how drivers must yield to pedestrians and bicyclists in that exact scenario. Here's the Arkansas Driver's License Handbook, and on page 64, it advises drivers to do just that.
So go ahead and give me your ID. I'm going to give you a citation, okay?
Well, I'm going to refuse the ID.
Okay, go ahead and put your hands behind your back.
Okay.
One is only required to provide ID in Arkansas if the officer has reasonable suspicion a crime or infraction was, is, or about to be committed. Officer Lingo's actions are far removed from those of a properly educated and reasonable officer.
I'm going to give you a citation. You can either cooperate or not.
I've been completely cooperative, sir.
Go ahead and take that backpack off. I don't want to cut it. You got something wrong with your shoulders?
No.
All right.
No. I do have a cannabis thing.
That's fine. I'm not worried about
I
that.
have a prescription.
I'm not worried about that. Hey, Tim Petey, I got one detained.
I mean, I'm really not one to go this route. Look, I mean, I work at the hospital and stuff like that. That's all I do.
I don't want to go this route either.
But I mean, I'm not gonna give you an ID for walking down the road, sir. Sir, I'm not gonna do that. I believe that I'm firm within my constitutional rights.
I'm going to give you a citation for impeding traffic.
Okay.
You can either give me your name and date of birth now, and I can run you and give you a citation, let you on your way, or I can take you to jail, get you fingerprinted, get you ID'd that way, give you a citation in jail.
They say one should never negotiate with a terrorist. But what about when a state-backed domestic terrorist is forcing you to negotiate with them? I mean, that's not even really hyperbole, is it? What else can this be called? This cop has David cuffed on the side of the road, threatening to cite and or arrest him for his misconstrued interpretation of the law that he cannot even legally charge him with. I don't know. Can you actually be a domestic terrorist without intelligence? Oh, shit. That's why there's a qualified immunity doctrine.
Yeah, I mean, If that's what we have to do, that's what we have to. I'm just not. I don't want to get any criminal charges, sir. But I'm not going to give you an ID without the arrest. I'm not going to give you an ID.
Okay.
I believe I'm firm within my constitutional rights on this. You know, I mean, I'm getting my life right and stuff. I haven't been in no trouble or anything like that. You know, but I believe I'm well within my rights, sir. I'm just walking to my father's house. All right, I've walked damn near 20 miles from Conroe. All right, I'm just trying to see what I can do. I'm trying to get down the road to test myself, and I'm not gonna ID.
Okay, go ahead and have a seat. You got anything else on you?
No, but I don't consent to a search.
Okay, well you're arrested right now.
You can do whatever you feel like you're legally allowed to do, sir. But I'm not authorizing.
Okay, give me a minute. Hello. Oh, you're good. So, got a 911 call. This guy walking in the middle of the road. He was walking north in the southbound lane of traffic, and I got here, refused to identify himself. I advised him I was going to give him a citation for walking in the middle of the roadway, and he still refused to identify himself. So, hooked him up, put him in the back, and I'm calling you to see what you advise. No, sir. He acts like a ex-convict, but he said he's trying to get his life straight and stuff like that. I haven't searched his bag or anything like that, but there is a statute for walking in the middle of the roadway. Yep. Because I had legal reason to make contact with him, so all right. Appreciate you. Yes, sir. All right. So I just got off the phone with my chief, and he agrees with everything that I'm doing. So you still want to go this route?
I don't want to go this.
I don't want to go this route either.
I'm firm on my rights, sir. I'm just going to be completely firm on my rights.
Okay, so here's the deal.
This can destroy everything that I have going in my life, but I'm going to stick by my rights, sir.
Okay, so here's the deal. You were walking in the middle of the roadway, which is illegal.
Sir, with all due respect, I was on the shoulder. I wasn't
was not.
Right in the middle of the road. I mean, I wasn't acting a fool or a
there is no easement here. The easement is the grass. That's the easement.
And I get what you're saying, sir, and I'm not trying to argue the law with you or anything. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. Okay? All I'm trying to do is just to get to where I'm going, and that's it.
So do you have warrants? Is that why you're not wanting to identify yourself?
I have no warrants.
So
I have no warrants. I don't want to identify myself because it's my rights. Okay, I've been off probation 5, 10 years.
Okay.
You know, I have nothing to hide from you, sir. I've told you I got weed in my pocket.
I don't care about weed.
It's still in my pocket. You know, I don't have anything in my bag at all, sir. I mean, nothing.
Okay.
Nothing at all.
So, where we go from here is up to you.
I mean, I'm just going to 21 Thornberry.
Okay. And you're more than welcome to either walk in the grass or on the sidewalk.
And I would be more than happy to walk in the grass, sir.
But I have to identify you.
I'm not arguing the fact of walking in the grass or anything like that, even though I still believe that if a cyclist can ride bike down here as well as I can.
They can't.
And I might be wrong. I'm not telling you that I'm not wrong, sir. I'm not telling you I'm not wrong, but I don't see. Is it a crime?
Yes.
Is my question. Okay, I don't have my ID. You know what?
Name and date of birth will be fine.
I'm going to do this under threat of arrest.
Okay.
I will give you my social or whatever.
Name and date of birth will be completely fine.
David Hayes, see ahead of you.
I feel like give her a
And this is just under complete duress.
Okay. H-A-Z-E?
H-A-Y-E-S. See ahead of you.
I feel like give her a man. Yes, no, you're with you now. Give me 1 second.
David is unlawfully detained, and Officer Lingo has just ran his information, but he still isn't even clear on the violation he's citing him for. And now he's Googling it. And there isn't anything inherently wrong with an officer Googling the law, but doing so, as well as calling people for assistance, doesn't correct Officer Lingo's actions, because he is operating under a severe fundamental misunderstanding of what a controlled access highway is. And the only Arkansas law that restricts walking on a road is 27-51-1206, which only applies to controlled access highways. He looks at his Google results for about 9 seconds and then bails and starts calling people for assistance. He starts off with what appears to be an Arkansas state trooper, but he doesn't immediately get a response. Another 2 minutes go by and then he reaches someone, possibly at the prosecutor's office.
Hey, got a question for you. I can't remember the phrasing that it's used on here for, like pedestrians walking in the highway. Yeah, walking northbound in the southbound lane of traffic. We're making it to where cars gotta move out of the way to prevent from hitting them. Yeah. Say what? Okay. $27.51.1206. My book skips from 41 to 53. Uh-huh. Because he wasn't crossing, he was walking northbound, so it would be the pedestrians prohibited on controlled access highway. Alright, that's what I got. I wouldn't even be giving him a ticket, but he refused to identify himself, so. Alright. I'll call you back and we'll have our day in court. Appreciate you. You too. Almost done here, bud. Alright, so from here we can go one of two ways. Where'd you say you're going?
I'm walking to Thornberry Cemetery.
Thornberry Cemetery. That's right on the end of the hill, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to, you can walk, or I can give you a ride after I uncuff you.
I gotta walk.
Okay, you can go ahead and step out. You go ahead and grab your stuff. So, your court date is going to be 5/15/2024 at 1 p.m. at 11 Wilson Farm Road.
Okay.
If you have any questions, you can contact this number on the back. They'll give you all the information you want, all right?
All right. Appreciate you.
You have a nice rest of your
Is
evening.
the police department on here too?
Greenbrier PD, Greenbrier, Faulkner County. Address is 11 Wilson Farm Road. That's the Greenbrier deal. My badge number, 810, Officer J. Lingo, and you also have my card.
All right. Appreciate you.
We could have avoided all of that.
I'm sorry, sir. I mean, I'm an American.
You are an American.
I have to, whatever I feel is my rights.
And that's your. Everybody has to do what they have to do. Abraham
Yes.
Lincoln said the only rights you have are the ones you're willing to fight and die for.
Yes, sir.
But as it states right there, it is illegal. So I had a legal reason to make contact with you. We had a 911 call. So
You will see in just a few minutes proof of Officer Lingo's outright ignorance, as demonstrated by the fact that this unlawful charge is changed to the catch-all charge of disorderly conduct.
if you didn't refuse to identify yourself, all I would have said was either walk on the grass or walk on the sidewalk.
Yes, sir.
And that would have been the end of it. But now we have a court date. If you feel like you've been unjust, then we can have a conversation with the judge about it.
Yes, sir.
All right?
All right. Appreciate you.
No problem. And stay on either on the grass or on that side of the sidewalk, all right?
Yes, sir.
Hey, you want a water?
The person who called 911 and Officer Lingo were both unaware of a simple fact. In Arkansas, as in most states, there are no laws prohibiting somebody from walking along the edge of a roadway. As I mentioned, the state driver's license manuals across the country make this clear. Pedestrians and bicyclists are not only permitted to occupy the side of a non-controlled access highway, but drivers are required to yield and pass only when it is safe to do so. When you look at a road like Highway 65, you might think, why would anybody even want to walk there? And that's fair. It might not seem right or even appear to be safe, but discomfort does not equal illegality. Without a law explicitly forbidding it, law enforcement has no authority to stop or cite someone simply for walking. Any law attempting to do so would have to survive substantial constitutional scrutiny, and in most situations, that would require the jurisdiction to build adequate pedestrian infrastructure. People have the right to move freely on foot, by bicycle, on horseback, on crutches or mobility devices, even in wagons and buggies as you might see in Pennsylvania. That's not a loophole. That is how the Constitution and law works, and how freedom of movement works in this country. Additionally, in the Arkansas Supreme Court case of Williams v. First Security Bank of Searcy, 1987, they upheld the trial court's decision to not allow the jury to be instructed on the Arkansas State Highway Pedestrian Safety Guidelines because they are not enforceable state law. They also reaffirmed that pedestrians as well as motorists are entitled to use the public highways and each must act with regard to the presence of the other. The driver of a motor vehicle must anticipate the presence of pedestrians on streets and highways and use ordinary care to avoid injuring them. Now, one could say that this officer was not an overly bad person. As a matter of fact, he was even lenient and professional with David in most aspects, like offering him a ride or some water and not being concerned with David's admission of having cannabis. But Officer Lingo's ignorance, that is unforgivable. There is no excuse for a certified peace officer to not know the difference between a controlled access and non-controlled access highway and how citizens can use them. Absolutely no excuse. But there is actually a reason. With the Arkansas Law Enforcement Training Academy program being only approximately 650 hours, the odds of facilitating unlawful interactions like this one is not a matter of chance. It is a statistical certainty, and the price for that certainty is paid by citizens like David over and over and over. After David was unlawfully detained, cited, and released, to mitigate Officer Lingo's error, the charge was amended by the prosecutors to disorderly conduct 5-71-207. This law requires more than just being present. Most criminal statutes, including disorderly conduct, hinge on intent, not just what someone did, but why they did it. In Arkansas, a person commits disorderly conduct if they act with the purpose to cause public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm, or recklessly create a risk of public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm. Subsection 5 of the statute mentions obstructing vehicular or pedestrian traffic, but that clause does not stand alone. It must be tied to intentional disruption or reckless risk creation. David wasn't standing in the middle of the road. He wasn't running in and out of traffic. He wasn't obstructing anyone. He was walking legally, calmly, and predictably on the edge of the road. This is a statute that's meant for people who attempt to block traffic during protests or who set up physical barriers on sidewalks and roads to prevent passage. It is not for people who are simply present on the road that rights and law allow them to use. Charging David under this statute isn't just overreach. It is a distortion of what the law was written to address. Nearly 5 months after the incident, on August 21st, David stood trial, pled not guilty, but was found guilty. He was ordered to pay $350 and given a 10-day suspended sentence, which has been held over his head for the past year. As of the date this video was published, he still has 46 days left until he is actually a free man. And this misdemeanor conviction will be on his record for walking lawfully on the edge of a road, a citizen criminalized because an officer didn't know the law within a system that is too indifferent to fucking care.
Okay, I'm Chief Earnhardt, Gene Earnhardt, Greenbrier Police Department. I have been in law enforcement for 28 years. 26 years that has been with the city of Greenbrier. I've been chief for about 15 years now. It is my hometown. I grew up here. The reason I got in law enforcement was to help people, help the citizens of the county and also of Greenbrier. I love helping people, trying to help them with their problems, solve their problems, and help take care of crime. I enjoy my job. I enjoy the people that works with me. I got some outstanding officers. I've got some great dispatchers. It's an honor to work for the city of Greenbrier and to work with the people I work with.
Thank you.
I'm going to arrest your mother.
Then we're going to end this.